But Eli had seen drivers toggle between those before. She glanced up at the rearview mirror, but his eyes were on the road, and he had put on a pair of dark glasses. "Right," she said. "Huh, wonder what happened." Eli settled back into her seat. She stared out the window and thought of home, of the deep gray fog rolling down over the hillsides, and the wind coming in, salty from the bay. She was homesick. Even in the same state, the air felt wrong on her skin. Los Angeles had been an endless parade of palm trees against a blameless sky, and the tacos were so good she could barely stop shoveling them in. But the traffic had left her feeling exhausted upon every arrival. And then there was the way that people looked you over in Los Angeles, deciding whether you were famous or fuckable or useful in some other way before sliding on to the next thing. Her audiences had been lively and engaging, but draining, and after each of her events, she'd wanted nothing but some dinner, a hot bath, and sleep. Maybe a couple fingers of bourbon over ice. Traveling always left her wrung out and unmoored. It didn't help that the sun was so all-encompassing outside the car. It could have been anywhere, any time of day, the hot white light blinding. She couldn't look at a surface other than the black asphalt without squinting. Living in San Francisco gave her what she had thought was a passing acquaintance with the sun, but the glare as the 10 freeway led out into Kern County and the high desert landscape was just too much. How are people here not dog-tired all the time? Doesn't the heat suck all the life out of them? How do they ever leave the house? Christ, it's March. Imagine later in the year. I gotta get some sunglasses. She set the phone beside her on the seat to avoid pawing it in and out of her jeans. She belatedly buckled her seatbelt as they picked up speed. Out the window, the freeway was sliding past, one unfamiliar mile blending into the next. The driver turned his radio on. It annoyed her at first that he had not asked, but then she reminded herself that he probably spent the whole day in his car. She wasn't talking. He was probably both lonely and bored. Let him have his oingo boingo. He changed lanes to get into the faster flow of traffic, and the motion of it made her feel a trifle ill. This heat had produced all kinds of new feelings. She ignored it, drinking the last swallow of the Gatorade. She looked around for a polite place to deposit the bottle. The motion of her head made her dizziness worse, and she tried to blink it away. "Do you have a spot for trash?" she asked him. As the words slid out of her mouth, she realized she was slurring like she was very, very drunk. She was horrified to realize she was drooling, too. Eli tried to get a hold of herself. She pushed with her palms and worked to sit up straight, but found that she could not. Her head felt far too heavy for the wet noodle of her neck to have ever supported. Her abs were slack, and her spine was a worm. She sagged against the seat. The seatbelt the only thing keeping her from sliding to the floor. "What's going on?" The words seemed to take a long time to reach her ears. "Oh shit, I'm having a stroke." An old classmate of Eli's had had a freak stroke event a week shy of her 30th birthday. Frantically, she tried to recall the diagnostic that the woman had posted on Facebook right after. She couldn't speak clearly. She couldn't lift her arms at all. Her hand flopped uselessly in the direction of her phone. "Who gotta take me to a hospital?" She slurred at him in molasses-thick nightmare slowness. "Something wrong." "Relax," he said clearly, his voice less deep than before. "You are fine." With her last spasm of strength, Eli pulled at the door handle, intending to tumble out of the car. The child's safety lock held her in place. "I'm not fine," she thought with her last clear and lucid moment, as her eyes fell closed like heavy curtains.